Screen Team Media.
If we don't do something new every time, we get a little bit bored with ourselves. But this was the medium that was begging us to use it, I think, to the best of its current state of the art. And the animators, who did all this work, beyond the talent, who were amazing, but the animators from Peter's company, every person who animated every frame of this animated every frame of Avatar. So we're very, very lucky to land in Peter's backyard in Wellington.
I just very quickly tell you a story because it's weird how fate kind of goes around in circles. That when I walked out of seeing Jurassic Park back when it was originally screened, I made a couple of films, and I always had a love of effects. I was a big Ray Harryhausen fan, and I knew that the movies I wanted to make were going to need that level of visual imagination that you couldn't give me real well. And when I came out of Jurassic Park, I knew that if I wanted to carry on doing what I love doing, I would have to get involved in computer effects, because obviously that Tyrannosaurus had a profound effect on me. Still does. And so we got our first computer a few weeks later. Literally had to mortgage the house almost to get a silicon graphics computer. And we did a film called Heavenly Creatures, which had 30 or 40 shots. And then we went on and did a couple more films. The next one we got 50 or 60 computers. Obviously Lord of the Rings, 500 or 600 computers. And eventually, having done Avatar, I think we're at digital now have about 2,000 computers. But the really weird thing is that that's the company and the talent that's doing TinTin now for Stephen. And if it hadn't been for Jurassic Park, it wouldn't exist. So it's just, I always think that fate's an incredible thing, the way that it ultimately works out.
And by the way, since we thanked Stephen for Raiders, Peter, Lord of the Rings. But Stephen, watching that footage, there's like a real velocity impact to the action, and the camera movement's interesting. Talk a little bit about that. You made a choice to film it like a live action.
Yeah, I filmed like a live action movie. There's a lot of handheld. There's a lot of what looks like Steadicam. It was just using the tools, using new tools, but in a way I knew how to tell my stories with. And so we had to certainly keep up with the state of the art. But the process of telling the story was done in a way that I was comfortable with, which is why I wanted to be in the volume with the actors, only 4 or 5 feet away from them, this little game controller, getting all of my shots. And the important thing is the movie is really a dense story. It's a dense detective story. It's a murder mystery. It's very funny when it needs to be. But the important thing is you just saw just the tip of the iceberg, because what you saw was some of the earliest renderings that came out of Weta. The very earliest, I guess you'd call it the iteration of the storytelling. It has gone even beyond this in terms of spectacle and production value. So that you'll see very soon, I promise.
Absolutely. One of the things that we should talk a little bit about is the actors. Tell us about the cast. You just said a little bit about some of the stars.
Well, Jamie Bell is somebody that Peter suggested. We love Jamie, and Peter did King Kong with Jamie. And Jamie is TinTin through and through, even TinTin when he didn't have his performance captures. Right, Peter?
Jamie's fantastic. I mean, the great freedom that we have is virtually any movie that you cast, any traditional movie you cast, what the actors look like is obviously an important factor. I mean, it's the talent of the actor, but if they don't look right for the part, then obviously that creates difficulty. But the wonderful thing with motion capture is that you have the entire casting pool of actors available to you. I mean, this is the only film that you'd ever cast Simon Pegg and Nick Frost as twins. And obviously Andy Serkis, clearly learned everything he needed to about Captain Haddock from my test, of course. But, and managed to bring a little bit of his own to it, I have to say.
That's great. And then, as far as the action itself, did you find the particular challenge getting scenes? I mean, the handheld with the actors and volume. What about the large scale set?
Well, all the the big epic things, the chases, the battles, none of which are, unfortunately, we can show here because they're still in various stages of development inside the process. But all the big action set pieces in the film, I can put my camera in places I never could in a live-action movie. Now, let me just say that performance capture is not a medium that is right for every film, but it was right for this particular story. And I was able to do things with the camera that I kind of, wish I could do with a live-action camera, so that might drive me back to this medium at some point. If all of you decide this is worth seeing, and it's up to you. If you decide it's worth seeing, then Peter gets to direct the next one.
Those scenes, I really want to make my TinTin film, please.
Both you guys are known for your collaborations with other people, be it District 9 or Super 8 or all the many different things that you guys do. And all of us are sort of fascinated by your careers. Tell us about this particular collaboration, the physics of it, and sort of the, maybe how it came across, how it worked out. You guys kicked each other pretty quickly.
Yeah, I first met Peter when I was standing at the microphone like this at the Kodak Theater, and I, took my hand and shook his while I handed him his Academy Award for Lord of the Rings.
Not the most intimate way to meet somebody, especially someone that I've admired for the majority of my life.
Well, I think what we figured out that this was something that we loved equally. The collaboration was effortless. Except for one person, my best friend George Lucas. This is the best collaboration I've ever had, and we worked, side by side creatively, making every single decision from the beginning of the screenplay process, written by Stephen Moffat, Joe Cornish, and Edgar Wright. To the approval of all the shots that is ongoing right now. This has been such a wonderful treat for me, a real honor for me to work with this guy. It's just like working with your brother. It's very, very easy. I guess in New Zealand, there's a lot. The energy in New Zealand isn't exactly the hyper energy of Los Angeles.
No, thank God.
I've had to re-energize myself to be able to speak the same language.
Well, fantastic. Well, pretty soon we're going to take some questions from the audience, and I would remind you that questions do end in a question mark, and that you should actually be a real question, not a statement or a proposal or a pitch or a threat, anything like that. And there are some microphones, so get ready for that. I would be booed out of this building if I didn't ask both of you a couple questions about some other things you had coming. Peter, The Hobbit.
What's that? Again? No, it's great. I mean, I guess, has anybody seen the latest blog? I'm having a hell of a time. The delightful thing with The Hobbit, honestly, is that I'm enjoying it way more than I ever thought I would. And I'm so pleased that I'm doing it. It's literally, I'm having a blast. I mean, it's an interesting way to make a movie like that, because we're in a short break now. We start shooting it in a few weeks' time. We resume shooting it in 3 weeks' time. We've done 60 days of shooting. We've got another just about 200 to go. So almost there. But when we set out, we wanted to cast Martin Freeman as Bilbo. We literally couldn't think of anybody else better. And Martin had already signed up to the new series of Sherlock. So this break is actually somewhat enforced by the fact that Martin has had to return to the UK to do Sherlock, but it's terrific because it's allowed me to re-energize, and we're doing a lot of pre-production for the next couple of hundred days of shooting. So it's going fantastically well. Absolutely loving it.
And Stephen, there's a very long list here. You have Warhorse, you have Lincoln, and then one I'm very excited about, Apocalypse. I really enjoyed the David Wilson though. Tell us, how do you keep it all straight? I mean, how do you show all of that?
Well, I've always done things, pretty much, I kind of operate on about 5 or 6 different tracks, all running in the same direction. And I love doing multiple projects at the same time, because one thing that directors lose, first of all, the first thing the director, really mourns the loss of, but happens to all of us, is our objectivity. And I find that when I do more than one project at the same time, I can go away and work a bit on Lincoln, and then let's say come back to post-production on Warhorse and really see it for the first time. So I use the projects to really, create some clarity in the way I can return and see what I can change, what I can shorten, how I can make better. So it's actually been a benefit to me, not a deterrent.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, well, let's see. I think we're going to try to take some questions from the audience.